Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Change Your Mind podcast, where we explore personal development, spirituality, and science. I'm your host, Kris Ashley. I'm excited for my guest today. We're going to talk about dreams, and dreams are so fascinating. I love talking about them. There's so many different types of dreams. I have a really interesting connection with dreams myself, so I'm excited to see what our expert has to share with us today. First, couple of quick announcements. Head over to the links in the show notes. You're going to find a lot there. You'll find ways to connect with my guest. You'll find ways to connect with me across social media, ways to sponsor the podcast. My website is there. You'll get to see what else I'm working on. I've got 2 television shows I'm working on in addition to the podcast. And as always, this podcast is part of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. We are doing amazing things in personal development. We have incredible events with incredible headliners pretty much monthly at this point, virtual and in person. I've been on stage with Dean Graziosi and Les Brown and Dr. Joe Vitale and John Asseroff and Sharon Lechter and just incredible humans that are out there helping raise the consciousness of humanity. So come be a part of what we're doing. It's really fun. It's really exciting. Oh, and link to my book in the show notes as well. Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. It was endorsed by 3 people from the film The Secret. It was endorsed by John Gray. It was endorsed by Anita Morjani. So go check it out and let me know what you think. All right. What if the one thing keeping you stuck is the way you think? Welcome to Change Your Mind with Kris Ashley, the podcast where science meets spirituality and mindset becomes your most powerful tool for transformation. I'm Kris Ashley, author of Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, trainer, speaker, and lifelong seeker. For years, I battled trauma, depression, anger, chronic illness, low self-worth, and the weight of old stories. Until I discovered how to rewire my mind, reconnect with my divine nature, and consciously create a new reality from the inside out. This show is here to help you do the same. Each week, we explore the intersection of personal development, spirituality, and science, diving into topics like healing, emotional mastery, entrepreneurship, resilience, and the quantum nature of reality. You'll hear powerful stories, gain practical tools, and real conversations that will help you change your perspective, get unshakable confidence, and live the vision your soul has always known is possible. Whether you're navigating a major life shift, building your dream business, or seeking deep healing and alignment, you're in the right place. So if you're ready to break through, take back your power, and create a life on your terms, this is your moment. Let's break free from the patterns that hold us back, awaken to who we truly are, and rise. Your transformation starts now. Who do we have today? We have Dr. Loren Weiner. And Dr. Loren is a Los Angeles-based clinical psychologist with over 20 years in private practice. As head of the Holistic Psychoanalysis Foundation and co-host of the And Now Love podcast, she carries forward the late Dr. Bernard Bale's groundbreaking theory of imprinting, which reveals how early unconscious emotional messages shape our identities, relationships, and mental health. Through her work with dreams as a therapeutic tool, Dr. Weiner helps individuals uncover and transform emotional imprints at the root, fostering healing that reaches across generations. So welcome. Do I call you Dr. Loren? What do you want me to call you?
Loren is fine.
Lauren's fine.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Loren. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
I never know with doctors. Some are like very strict about it, and some are like, just call me my first name. So
Fine.
It's good to check. Oh man, I didn't tell you this. I'm 7 months pregnant, and it's like I get so out of breath sometimes. And I'm like reading the bios. It's I get a little breathy, so that's why. It's a baby pressing on my diaphragm.
Yes, I understand that.
But I'm so happy you're here, and I'm excited to dive into all this with you. And you're probably one of my few guests who's actually watched a couple of the shows before. But audience, if you're listening, like, this is such a big deal. Like, go listen. If you're going to be on a podcast, listen to the episode, a couple episodes, right? Like, I used to work in marketing. I was heading marketing teams, and that was like always my thing. Like, if I interviewed someone and they didn't know anything about our company, it's like, go do some research, right?
Like, research.
So I appreciate you for doing that. But what I was getting at is you probably know this because you listened to a few episodes. I always start my episodes off the same way by asking my guests their origin story.
Yes.
And yeah, I would love to hear yours. Yeah.
I thought about that and thought so many of them are so interesting. Mine
Yeah.
is a little more simple. I sort of went into the family business. My father is a psychiatrist and luckily not enamored with medication, really loved dreams. And my mom is an oil painter. And so I felt like I had that sort of science and creative balance. And I didn't know that everybody didn't talk about their dreams at the kitchen table. So it was just naturally a part of my upbringing. And I tried really hard to run away from it. I went to law school at one point. But there just is nothing as compelling as listening to dreams and knowing that there is information in there that can help people. And so that sort of, at the end of the day, just captured me.
Yeah, they're so interesting. I've been turning to ChatGPT for like all my dream analysis lately, and it's actually like pretty helpful. It's pretty cool. But I'm sure it's even better with like a human behind it.
Hopefully, that's the idea, yes.
So just like reading your bio, tell me who Bernard Bale is and how you got involved with him and all about his theory.
Yeah. So he was my mentor. He passed away a few years ago at the age of 100. Yeah, World War II veteran. He was captured over Nazi Germany. And yeah, basically this change. Yeah, he was a lead radar navigator and the plane went down, on the other side on enemy lines and sort of changed the trajectory of his life. And he came out of the war deciding that he wanted to be a healer and that's part of the start of what he felt the world needed. I don't think he had any idea about that at the time, but he knew he was called that way and became a psychoanalyst and eventually found that the way he was treating his patients didn't satisfy him, and he didn't think it was changing his patients enough. It wasn't satisfying them. And so he really turned back to the dream, which he had, trained with, but he turned back to the dream and found eventually that listening with new ears, it held so much more than he had been taught. And this is what opened up this theory of imprinting, which the fact that you're 7 months pregnant is so interesting for this, because his idea is really that the unconscious of the mother, so that part of us out of reach to us most of the time, but it contains everything we've ever been through emotionally. Now, but all of our pain also. So all of the things that we haven't fully worked out, things that hurt us, all of that actually goes into our babies. And the baby receives this. It tries to take care of the mother. And so if mom is good, baby is good. So that baby is working really hard unconsciously. Again, all of this is out of our awareness to make sure mom is okay so that everybody survives. So baby, though, then has taken in this material that I would say is, toxic for us, right? Because it's sort of this ball of, upsetting emotions for the mother. And the baby walls it off and says, okay, mom, you're good now. I will hold this and we can go on as a team. The only problem with that is that splits the baby and it splits the baby's mind. So the baby has to wall off part of itself, which wouldn't necessarily, be awful. But what it does then is it gives us less access to our unconscious self. And our unconscious self is what connects us to the divine. So we cut ourselves off a bit more from, all of this pure love. And we then carry a lot of our mothers in our personalities. Now, what does all of this mean? Because
I'm
that's
like,
a
oh God.
lot. It's a lot. But what it means is this: we can then use the dream, which I think is this truly a gift from the divine every time we sleep, to help us say, okay, I took in all of this pain because I wanted mom to be okay, but I don't need to hold it anymore. And this may be my curriculum here on earth, but I get to start dream by dream, understanding what I can let go of, what trash I don't need to carry, and I can begin to clean or help rid myself of all of this such that I can be more my true self and open up that connection to the divine even more. So I am available for to be my true self and have so much more love in my life. And that's really the whole idea. So our dreams bring these messages.
I really love that angle about it, that like it can wall you off from the divine and from love, and like dreams can help kind of
Open you
take off
up.
some of that stuff that's been piled on top of you.
That's right.
Um, oh man, as like a mom, that's so heartbreaking to think. It's so
I
much
know.
pressure, right?
It's so much pressure. Trust me, during my own pregnancy, I I will tell you, I had, I was so conflicted because I know how this goes and I know how this goes. So now the good news is this: I think the more we're aware of it, the more we can be constantly sending our babies love and you know for the world, truthfully, it starts with mom because that's where babies live, that's where they start, and they do sweep in dads. It's not like the dads are left out, but it really means the whole world should be doing their best to treat women well. Because if women are carrying the babies, the more negative experiences they go through, the more material there is that our babies have to then contain. The better, happier a mother is, the less junk she's got, right? To pass down. And that's really what we want to do, is not say, oh, women, this is your fault. We really want to say, let's get everybody treating mothers and women better. You'll make all the future generations much happier.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, women are amazing. We like literally usher in new life, which I just like, I still can't like wrap my head around.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. So, like, how old is the baby when this happens? Does this happen like while baby's in the womb, or is it like something that happens like in early childhood?
I think that the timing is variable.
Okay.
Yes, I would say in utero. That's probably the start of this. Sometimes you'll get a glimpse of it. People will have dreams where they point to like a stage in development, believe it or not, or, they'll have themselves as a fish or they're still gills, things that give you a sense of timing. But, you know, in utero and around birth, I would say most of this is happening.
So interesting. And do you think like most of it gets dumped on your firstborn, or is there still leftover junk for the second one?
Good question. Uh, I think that the babies have different meanings for the parents. So I think
Mm.
everybody gets an imprint. It's just that, yes, that, one child may have a certain meaning and it holds certain parts of the mother and father, and similarly for a second child. So I think we all have it. I think, at the end of the day, it probably is our curriculum for these lifetimes, that it is both problematic, we'd like to ameliorate it, and probably necessary in some way because it gives you your task. What are you going to be working on? What do you need to do? And it gives you a method to figure it out, which is dreams. So that's, I mean, part of what I so fell in love with dreams is every night or whenever you sleep, you get this piece of information that lets you heal a part of yourself. So
Yeah, totally. I'm like thinking about like my firstborn. Like
yeah.
I got pregnant like 3 months after my dad died, and there was so much grieving going on during it. I still like feel bad about that, because like I'm sure he like absorbed something, but he's also like the happiest little guy ever. So, but yeah, no, it's interesting. Like there's just like unplanned life events that happen sometimes. Right?
There are. And I think, we can't, I don't think we have to like put ourselves in a bubble, while pregnant to have babies and do all of this. I think it's just being so aware that, of course, the baby felt that, and, your firstborn, and probably wanted to help. And that's going to be part of his journey in whatever way that showed up. I think we're all walking around with it. So this is life.
Yeah, it's like such a sweet thought that the babies just want to help their moms, and they're like, "I'll hold your stuff for you."
That's right. That's right.
You're gonna make me cry. Okay, so let's talk about dreams, because I feel like there's so many types, right? Like I've had legit visitations in dreams. I often have prophetic dreams, and then there's some dreams that are like really freaking weird, and then I'll like ask ChatGPT or Google it, and it's like, oh, actually that's your subconscious saying this and this and this, and it's not this horrible thing. And then sometimes I have dreams, you have to tell me if this is common, because my husband thinks I'm crazy, where it's like I'm not involved at all, but I'll watch an entire movie unfold. Like there's a beginning, middle, and end, and it's like not even related to me, and it's so strange, but like entertaining. So I'd love for you to just like talk about all these kinds, and then like I'm sure there's other kinds that I didn't even mention, and like how do they all tie into this?
There are as many kinds as there are people. So, it all emerges from your unconscious mind. And I believe the mind picks the best way to tell the story that works for you. So it will incorporate what you've been through, what are you going through, and what does it want to work on? What piece each night you can think about it, that the mind goes and says, all right, I need to understand this to move forward. I need to understand this to grow. And then the mind says, all right, what's the best information from your life at the moment? Which symbols, what will mean something to you? So even if you wake up and say, oh, I have no idea, none of this makes any sense, most of the time, if we start talking about it and I ask you questions about each element, and you let your mind just associate freely to what comes, it yields, and a story emerges that should be helpful.
So you think that they're always, no matter what kind they are, they're always your mind trying to help you like work through something?
I think so. I mean, look, even with a visitation dream, and I do think those happen, definitely, there may also be other information embedded in there. And I say, not just even with the prophetic dreams, we probably have those much more than we know. Some of them are so striking that you go, oh, yeah, that was it. A lot of times my patients will talk about dreams, and there may be an element we don't know what to make of it. 3 weeks later, somebody might come back to you and say, oh, remember that? I had that in my dream, and I was in that room. And so I think it's happening much more than we know, especially if we consider the idea that everything is happening all at once. And so there is going to be that crossover. And there are just dreams that want to help you figure a situation out, help you with a feeling, help show you where you're not using maybe your own voice or your true self, where you are being somebody else, typically in the family, because that's where we were raised. And those are the, jackets in a way we put on, or different characters in our family. But all of that is designed to help you get back to you. So if somebody comes with a dream where he or she it becomes clear in the dream, oh, but you're wearing your mother's dress. Oh, but you're eating your father's favorite food. Then we know the mind is trying to say, oh, right now, unconsciously, I am not being myself. And then we can try to peel that off or work with it so that you get to come through more.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I've also just had dreams where like of random people that I haven't talked to in a long time are like getting married or something, and then I find out it's true the next
Yes.
day, or just like weird.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
mean,
we're like all connected,
we're all
right?
connected. That's it.
Yeah,
And that's the beauty of the unconscious is it's so vast and it includes
yeah,
everything. From our connection to the divine to everything we've ever been through. And so, yes, all of that happens too.
yeah. It's so cool. I mean, I like that you call dreams a divine gift because it is really crazy. Like when you think
Amazing.
about, actually, I was just reading my little like what to expect
Yeah.
app, and this week of pregnancy, babies start dreaming, and I'm like, what does a
Right.
baby have to dream? What are they dreaming about?
Well,
Like,
if they're living inside of us,
yeah,
right, then they're also feeling, and we know, chemically, they have all sorts of things going on that are a dialogue with the mother and her body. But I think if it's going on that level, it's going on unconsciously as well. So I think they probably have all sorts of things to dream about. I would love that window in. I remember during
yeah,
pregnancy wanting so much, oh, if I could only, I want to look in, and see, but we can with our dreams, actually.
yeah, yeah, super
Yeah,
cool.
you may dream. I mean, I think it's heightened during pregnancy because we are so in touch with it unconsciously. You may dream for your baby as well.
I love that. That's such a cool concept. Yeah, the dreams during pregnancy have been vivid for sure. I
Yes.
actually had so many dreams last night and just like weird. Okay, well here, let me like ask you like I had one where I was on vacation with my two best friends and their families, and both their husbands had brought like other women along, and found out like my one friend Jamie, it was like her husband, they haven't been sleeping together for 9 months, so like they're kind of seeing other people, and then my friend Jesse's like just brought another woman and she was really upset about it. And it's like, what is that? That's so random and weird. We were like on a cruise ship in like somewhere tropical.
So sounds random.
Yeah.
Probably isn't because your mind went to the trouble to um, bring all of these characters that probably have an emotional meaning for you. Like if I asked you about Jamie, something would come to mind, right? And we could start to see, okay, what is the feeling in the dream? Who are these characters? I thought it was interesting that you said somebody hadn't been sleeping together for 9 months.
Yeah.
Interesting if you're pregnant, right?
Yeah.
That may
That's funny.
have
I didn't even make that connection.
right? That may have an interesting meaning and at least
Yeah.
start to help us locate, what is this ship that you're on? Is that someone's mind? Are you now interesting also, right? They call ships the mothership or so now that's my association. I'd have to get yours if we were really doing this, but to start to take something that sounds so big and unmanageable. And by getting your thoughts to each of the elements, we zoom in and start to see, okay, what is she really talking about? What would the main problem in this dream be if you had to think of one?
I mean, I feel like I didn't have any problems. Everyone else did.
Yeah, what were
I
the
think I just felt bad for my friends and I was like pissed at their husbands.
okay, so we'd go with that idea, right? That somewhere people aren't being loved.
Hmm.
Right? They'd like to be loved, but we've got something that is getting in the way or seems to be grabbing the attention, right? So I would start to see, okay, what about that idea? Why are they not getting what they need in the dream?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? I mean, if we won't go through the whole thing now because it takes a whole session, but I would be looking at now. It is interesting if it's 9 months and we've got a pregnancy, that may, um, start giving us all kinds of thoughts about, all right, maybe she's making a comment here in some way, and are these women that get brought along other women? Are they the mother, the mothers? So we can start asking lots of questions at least to start making making it fit the feelings you're talking about in the dream and hoping to make a link to something going on in your life so that it is practical too, right? So that you can use this and say, oh, okay, now I understand something more about myself.
I kind of want to ask ChatGPT and see what it says. And see if you agree with it. Yeah, I had another funny one that was like, so I have a nanny 2 days a week for my toddler, and sometimes she'll just kind of like cancel last minute and be like, oh, it's a holiday. And I just had this like flash of a dream last night where she was like, called me the night before. She's like, I'm not coming tomorrow because it's Groundhog's Day. Like, what? That was the whole dream.
Okay.
Isn't that so weird?
Well, interesting in a way thematically, right? Because in both, you're really saying, look, somebody isn't showing up the way that person is supposed to show up. And that's what I start looking at thematically here, right? On the ship as well. Yes, we've got a lot going on with people, and it's not directly connected to you, except in the way that you're the dreamer.
Yeah.
So I assume your mind wants to tell me something about that, right? Where and in what way is there some need not being met?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. So how do you feel about like what's the word? Like symbolism in dreams? Because it's like when you Google something, it's like I had an eagle in my dream, and it's like, well, anytime you dream of an eagle, it's this.
Yeah.
Like what's your thought on that?
My thought is I would prefer to get your association to it. I may hold some of these more universal meanings. I think, certain things we all respond to. And maybe eagles have a very specific meaning for you. You may tell me a story in childhood about seeing an eagle when you were hiking with grandpa, and that would be different, right, than just a general meaning. So I always lean towards saying you can hold that idea, but go to the person you're talking to and see what is the specific meaning. Because again, your mind picked the symbol for a reason. I don't think it's random.
So when people come to you, do they just like if they have like a crazy dream, they come make an appointment, or are these people that you've been like working with for a while, and then anytime they have a dream, it's like, oh, cool, let's like dive into this.
Yes, the latter. So because I'm a psychologist, people come to me for that. They come for therapy, and this is just the tool I use most frequently to get below the surface. So all of my patients know I will ask for a dream, and most of the time, even with people who say, well, I don't dream regularly, most of the time, that's just because somebody isn't asking.
Yeah.
So eventually, if you ask, a dream will come.
Yeah. My husband's like that. Like I'll have like vivid dreams all the time, all night, and he'll remember like one dream every like 6 months. It's crazy.
Yeah, and again, that just may be if he were working regularly with somebody who was asking, and it often just changes dramatically. Not always, but most of the time.
So what do you think about nightmares?
Well, I love nightmares. I don't want people to suffer and go through all that, but usually it is that strong for a reason. It really wants to call your attention to something. So it wants to, say, here, look at this. And you can't miss it, by the way. So that's a good thing. And it usually gets at something very important to understand. So I don't see those as a negative.
Are they like ever like warnings, or are they always just like, hey, there's this emotional thing you're dealing with that you need to look at right now?
It could be either. The beauty of the unconscious is it could be a warning about something. It could just be a feeling you want to talk about. I mean, anything is really up for grabs. It's sort of the challenge of working with dreams. When somebody comes in, there's no here, again, it's sort of like the dream dictionary. Nothing can tell you if you hear a dream like this is the meaning. I think you have to really feel it. And so I have to decide as I'm listening and trying to tune in with myself, is this just a warning dream? And so let's figure out what this is so you're aware. Is this, something from early in life that your mind has been carrying around that it wants understood so it can be released? Anywhere in between?
Have you ever had anyone that had any kind of like warning dream like that?
Um, a lot of the dreams, there have been some warnings. I will say those typically, the ones I've experienced, and again, I think they could be in any way, often just are things that might say, this isn't really a good person for you to be involved with.
Mm.
So warning there, and that will come through. Um, there have been people who have dreamed about big world events, and gotten a warning.
Yeah.
Not, I guess maybe not a warning in the sense that I don't know that those people were going to be in harm's way particularly, but certainly were connected to the event happening. So, warned us all. And sometimes it's tricky because you don't always know, hindsight, you go, oh, that's what I was dreaming about.
Yeah.
Sometimes if they come in the form of a nightmare, you at least know um, that it's a very intense emotion. It's not always clear until after the fact what exactly it was and where in the world it was going to happen.
Yeah, totally. I'm just thinking about like this one man that I had on as a guest on my TV show, and his wife had a dream that like something terrible was going to happen that day, and his daughter died that day.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
just like, and so like all day they were like, we don't know what's going to happen. We know something bad's going to happen. They're like trying to control everything. But yeah, but things like that are just wild. And actually, my
Yeah.
mother-in-law had a
Yeah.
dream that her sister was murdered and her sister's husband was calling to tell her. And then like 2 days later, it happened in like the exact same way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
crazy.
And those are so hard because, when you first hear that, I mean, you may or may not know that this is really going to happen. Um, and unfortunately, I don't know that you can always prevent it.
Yeah. I think I think the challenge for me, like, I had a nightmare a few nights ago, and I like was up at like 3 a.m. asking
Yeah,
ChatGPT, and it was like, "Oh, this is it like totally calmed me down." It kind of
yeah,
said like what you're saying, like this is your subconscious trying to deal with this and that and that, what, but it's like there's that sense of like anxiety where it's like, is this a warning, right? Like, is this a
yes,
prophetic dream? Like, how does someone like
right.
navigate that without like, because we're not gonna be able to call you at 3 a.m., right? Like,
Understood. Yes. I mean,
yeah.
I would say this most of the time, unless you happen to be one of these people who repeatedly sort of dreams this way, and some people do, but most of the time, these really are our unconscious feelings that have just never been attended to, and so they may feel scary because we weren't supposed to attend to them.
Mhm.
We weren't, maybe in our families that was off limits, or you just didn't question something, or and again, this happens even when it may seem like perfectly happy family. It doesn't mean we aren't all absorbing all sorts of things from each other, from the world. And then those are in our psyche now and they need to be understood. And so often it's just that they've sat dormant or seemingly dormant so long without attention that they sometimes erupt and scare people. But
Yeah, that makes sense, especially like absorbing from other things and like TV shows. Do you ever have like characters show up and you're like, what's going on?
people do all the time, and Freud actually talked about that. That's just a day residue, and so we can choose from all sorts of things that have come across our path and pick the piece though that we could choose anything. So if you've picked a character, there's a reason, right? You want to use something about that character that has a meaning for you to describe something, right? So I assume in your dream, and we won't get into your friends. That's why I because I don't have that information, I don't want to make an incorrect interpretation for you, but I assume you picked Jamie and you picked your other friend for a reason, right? Those are going to have meaning. And then if we could really work, we'd figure out, all right, is she a symbol for you? Is she a symbol for some idea, some quality? And then you weave the dream meaning together.
So the way that you would kind of get to that is like when I think of Jamie, I think of blank, or like what
yes,
she
or what I would probably say is I leave it as open as I can, which is just tell me about Jamie, or what comes to your mind about Jamie. And then you let that free association process happen. And then, I hesitate here only because I think, I don't know that the conditions are exactly right to let that flow the way it would, but yes, exactly. That's how you do
Well,
it.
I mean, also don't hold back. Like I have live demos on the show all the time. And I think that that's actually really fun for the audience. Like on my TV show, anyone that comes on, we have to do a live demo because I have like tarot readers or like, people, because I think first of all, it like shows off your skills, right? And they get a sense of like what it's like to work with you in real time, and like how much this can actually uncover. Like if there's like this crazy revelation, it's like, wow, that was amazing,
Right.
So don't feel like shy about it. But if you're not comfortable, that's totally fine.
No, I want to just be thoughtful, which is because I think that, one of the pieces that's coming through is the question of, all right, there's a feeling that somebody is coming in, there's another person coming in and taking the love, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to make an assumption, but I want to ask, I'd ask you, okay, what about that idea?
Yeah, I think that's what's weird about it is like I don't feel that way in real life. So
right.
So yeah, I have no idea.
Right. So then we just have to start to be curious and say, okay, you don't feel that way. And I understand that in the dream, right, it's the friends are having the experience. But given you're the dreamer, I would say, well, I wonder if somewhere unconsciously, right, you may be starting to talk about something. Now, it may not be current day. And I say that because especially if you're pregnant, we often get, I'll just say regressed. We get connected to our own infancy and prenatal life through our experience of growing a baby.
That's really trippy. That's cool.
So it brings up for when people
so
get
it could be like my mom thinking that way or something, like back to the imprinting.
That's right. That's right. Oh. That you may really be saying, oh, you know what? I was Jamie and I lost my love to somebody else, meaning, or I didn't get what I needed from my mother. And that may be where you're going with this.
That's wild. That's super crazy. I got like goosebumps.
Okay. So I think that then the goosebumps usually tell me I'm right in the arena, right? That, that you're really saying, look, this is very old. It is stirred up because I now have a baby that I want to connect to, that I don't want to repeat what happened to me. And if I felt at some point that I lost my mother in some way, that unconsciously now, may have happened consciously, but certainly unconsciously, if there was any way in which I had that experience, you may dream it now so that you can heal it, know it, heal it, and not have to pass it on.
Okay. I'm like covered in goosebumps. That was wild. Okay. So if you're listening, we just went there, and go work with Dr. Loren. No, like, yeah, totally. That really resonates. That's wild. Okay. That's really interesting. Yeah, it makes sense, like pregnancy and connecting back. And I actually, when you were talking, I wanted to ask, like, you were talking about how like kids will take on like things from the mother and like a part of them walls off. Like, how do they work to release that? Like, or how do people even know that they have that going on?
The dream. So okay. The beautiful thing is that our dreams will do it. You get dreams around that often look like a baseball bat to the head. They look like getting beaten, getting hit hard, getting knocked down, falling off a ladder and hitting your head. A lot of things like that where there is a sharp, intense pain. And it seems to link to this idea.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's
And
almost kind of like literally physically trying to break it off or something, or break it open.
yes, and I think show what happened, right? The dream is sort of saying, look, you have to start here. If I got slammed with this, it was so painful. So here's why I walled it off and we don't know about it. But it wasn't dormant. It was sort of broadcasting from all of its negative messaging this whole time. And the messages are usually simple. They're things, and this is so important for people to know, I think, because people go, I don't know what to do. I've tried so hard. I can't get ahead. I can't make money. I can't find love. Those are all things that would be contained in this type of imprint, that we receive. And they're simple. They are just like that. I'm not to get ahead. Life is to be hard. Maybe for some people, it's, I'm not really supposed to be here. And you may see, suicidality or major illness or things that if you see enough in the dreams, you can say, oh, this lines up. Here's what you've been fighting all this time. It's all unconscious. You didn't know it, so you couldn't fight it the right way. You just go around thinking something's really wrong with me, but you don't know what. So that's why I love the dream for getting at these.
Yeah. Making me think of like a couple different people I know who, like, especially when you said illness, who have had pretty crazy illnesses, like wild things, not like common things.
Yeah.
And it's just like some of those people that, like, no matter how positive they try and be, it's like bad things just keep happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that has to do with like something being passed down? I'm thinking specifically of one friend who, like, her sister's the same way, like both girls, like terrible things keep happening to them, and like illnesses, like really bad illnesses. Is that something like passed down from their mother then, like some sort of mantra playing, or like,
It very well may be,
yeah.
yes. And why, we can get into all the spiritual questions about, why that in this lifetime, always a good question. But yes, it may have just come down that, and all unconscious. And that's the piece that I think is also so critical for people to know. This is all happening unconsciously. No mother is consciously saying, oh yeah, I'm going to, give this really hard thing to my child. It's just happening because there is this, what should be beautiful back and forth between a mother and fetus. But we've had so much trouble in the world for thousands of years that people have absorbed, that now you get some of that bleeding into it. And it, gives us big trouble. So better to know it's unconscious. Nobody's doing this on purpose. And then you can use your dreams to start figuring it out.
And as far as what the mother can do, I know you said like just being aware of it.
Be aware, know. If things keep happening, you go, I just can't, like, what is this? Life is just always hard. No matter what I do, something else comes. Chances are you're dealing with an imprint issue. And at least if you know that, you can go, okay, there is something here. It will probably be in my dreams. At least I can start looking at them, paying attention, and see what I can glean.
Yeah.
And I think like the dream you were sharing, that's so important, right? If we can get at that, that may mean you get to now relate to this baby in a freer way. You open up a channel. See, if it goes from, I'm not getting love, and we have to understand that we want to work on that, open that up so that as much love as possible gets to come in, both consciously but unconsciously, that we remove a block. Wow, then that baby can be flooded with love because mom feels freer. That's been understood.
Yeah, so I guess like in that case, like if it was a situation where I felt like I lost part of my mom or something like that, is just like having that awareness of that's what the dream was trying to tell me enough to kind of open things up a little bit.
Yes, I would say we probably would work with it a bit, and you may have dreams that start to go, oh, okay, if you've got that, let me tell you what it felt like. Maybe then, there's a dream where you're more in it, right? Right now, there's a distance from it. And I would say, okay, well, that's very interesting. As you said, there's a lot of dreams where I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I would say at some point, then we get to, you know, think about that a little and say, all right, what has to happen for you to get in it?
So that's like a really interesting thing that you're talking about. So let's say tonight I have another dream where maybe I'm more involved or something. Is there like this procession of dreams that are all related then as things start to
Yeah.
peel back?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's really cool.
Exactly. And you're always watching to see, is it deepening? Did we get the right thing? There's a lot in dreams, right? As I said, every moment every dream may have something prophetic in it, but we're going to try to pick out what is emotionally the most salient piece that lets her move forward. So yes, I would expect we'd get a flurry of dreams around this, and you might get more specific and say, yeah, and it was this. And I'll just use the example. So here's where I felt, I didn't quite get as much of my mother in the way I wanted as I wished. And here's what was going on with mom and why I didn't. But I've carried this around my whole life thinking it was something about me. And maybe it wasn't, right? But the dream is going to start to show all of that so you don't have to carry that, hopefully, anymore.
So this is like more of a spiritual question, but what do you think about like dreams as glimpses into parallel lives or past lives? Because a lot of times when I'm like watching those dreams that are like full movies that like I am not a character in whatsoever, it's like I think about that. I'm like, am I just watching like someone else's part of their life unfold?
You could be. I keep everything really open because I think it's all
We don't know
possible.
everything, right?
We
Yeah.
just don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we're always learning, which is amazing. And then but the question would be, why might you do that? What, if right, what does that get you? And so I would start thinking, I might lean in that case more towards saying, why does she just watch it from afar? Why does it not have an emotional connection to her? What is she trying to tell me about? Right? That would at least be where I would come from, but I'd have to hear you talk about it and tell me. Could be parallel live. But I don't know if that gives you enough to make it useful in this life. Right.
No, that makes sense. Like I've gotten a lot of I'm a big fan of getting past life regression hypnotherapy sessions, and there's this thing that they say it's like they always show you the past life that's like relevant to what you're going through right now. So that kind of makes sense too, right? It's like it's probably the same with a dream.
Yes, I think
if
so.
that's what it is.
I think so. And they all usually, even if we just would look at the story of what you were watching, it probably would yield something useful, even if you don't have the emotional connection, and then we can figure out why.
Okay, so next question might be out of your expertise, but I'm just thinking about it. What about sleep paralysis? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, there is a certain amount, I'm not an expert on the science of this, but there is a certain amount of paralysis we need to ensure safe dreaming, because if we were getting up and running all over the place, that wouldn't work for us. So there is a, paralysis at that neuromuscular junction that's necessary. Now, I know as people are waking up and then they are completely paralyzed and can't, um, truly, I would look at that emotionally. I mean, it doesn't mean that the body doesn't respond to the feelings and have some chemical reason for doing that, but I think it all starts in the emotions, and I would be so curious to analyze that.
Yeah. I'm just curious. just because we were talking about visitation dreams,
Yeah.
I get sleep paralysis pretty often. It usually happens when I'm falling asleep if I'm like really overtired.
Okay.
But I had a visitation from my dad, his dog, and my dog, all of whom had passed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like they were in the room. And it was during sleep paralysis. And it was like the trippiest, most amazing experience I've ever had. And it almost felt like a borderline dream, but I was like aware. I don't know.
Yeah.
So just thought I'd ask. Yeah, it's very
What did it tell me? It sounds like it was a positive feeling. Was
It
it?
was, but sometimes I get really freaked out by sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I panic and I'm like, just like move your arm.
I think that is more common for people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, it happens for sure. But I have found like if I like relax into it, I can kind of like drift off into space kind of thing, but it takes a lot because it's scary.
It is. And that is something I think if you get some of the dreams, and we start to see, what I think you can unpack that and probably analyze it and that may help it dissipate.
And what about dreams that you're awake and aware in? What is lucid dreaming?
Lucid dreaming. Such a big topic. People really love lucid dreaming. I think I have a slightly minority opinion, which is I don't love the pursuit of that, at least not for me personally. People can do it, but if what you're wanting is connection to your unconscious, I would say let it flow. Because if we get in there and start using our minds to, I'm going to go here and I want to see this and do that, which is amazing. I have to say it's very seductive, but also, you're then changing that flow from the divine in terms of what your unconscious would bring you that night. So I lean more towards
sometimes
letting
I
it flow.
totally understand what you're saying, but like sometimes it just happens, right? Like
Yes.
it's not something you're pursuing, and that's like
I think if it
wild.
just happens, you just go with it, right? Then and you can also analyze that and figure out, okay, why in that dream was I so aware that I was dreaming and that I could, let's just say, avoid running off that cliff or whatever it is that people, or take a look around that, through that window and see something I needed to know. And sometimes that need is so strong that that's what comes. And in that case, I would say that's what came. We take it happily.
Yeah. Did you ever see that film Waking Life? That's a good one.
No, but I heard you mention it on some of the other.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I have it on my list to hunt down.
It's cool. It's animated, but with like different kind of animation. And the first half is like really, or maybe it's the second half. I don't know. One of the halves gets like really philosophical, and you're like, you kind of have to like watch it a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like going in and out of this lucid dream. I don't know. It's just like a cool film. I don't know. Like it's totally like a stoner movie, but it's also like really fascinating because it's all about lucid dreams. Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah, there's so many interesting pieces with lucid dreaming. So it's not that I'm completely opposed, but I do want to, I guess my soapbox here to convey to people is also like that beautiful flow you're getting is special. And yes, we all have them, and a lot of dreams seem like throwaways, but they're not, and they're so beautiful in that it brings you a message every night. So also just cherish that.
Yeah, totally. Amazing. So is there anything we haven't talked about that you like really want to get out there to people?
I think we covered a lot. I think people got the general idea that a lot of what we're doing is really going into the unconscious, just seeing what are the things that have gotten in your way, where are you not able to be your truest self, and how do we get all of the things that impinged on you out over time, but out so that you really get connected to your deepest self, your intuitive self, and to the divine, and that you get as much love in your life as possible. And that's the name of the podcast, is And Now Love. And the idea was that in a way, the world has tried everything else, and if everybody can clear out their unconscious as much as possible and invite as much beautiful divine love in, how about we try that for each other? No war, no mistreating people, just work on ourselves so that we can be the most loving selves we can and bring that to the world.
Yeah, I love that message. And I know you just said the name of the podcast, but I'm sure people want to know how else they can connect with you, where they can find you if they want to work with you. So if you want to just take a moment and share.
Sure. Right. The podcast is And Now Love Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and they can certainly go to my website. It is my name, .com, Loren Weiner, PhD.com. But there's a lot on the podcast, so I would say that's probably a great place to start.
Awesome. Cool. And those links will be in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
So Loren, thank you so much for coming on. It flew by. It's always, like you said before we started, there's like so much to talk about. So can go on forever, but I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to be with you.
Yeah. And if you're listening, like, comment, share, subscribe, send this to someone you think could use it or might find it fascinating, and try and lift humanity up. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day.